I. If thou hadst been a sculptor, what a race of forms divine had thenceforth filled the land. Methinks I see thee, glorious workman, stand, striking a marble window through blind space. Thy face's reflex on the coming face, as dawns the stone to stature 'neath thy hand. Body obedient to its soul's command, which is thy thought, informing it with grace. So had it been. But God, who quickeneth clay, nor turneth it to marble, maketh eyes, not shadowy hollows, where no sunbeams play, would mould his loftiest thought in human guise. Thou didst appear, walking unknown abroad, God's living sculpture, all informed of God, too, if one should say, lo, there thy statue. Take possession, sculptor, now inherit it, go forth upon the earth in likeness fit, as with a trumpet cry at morning, wake the sleeping nations, with light's terror, shake the slumber from their hearts, that, where they sit, they leap straight up, aghast, as at a pit gaping beneath. I hear him answer, make alas for me, I cannot nor would dare inform what I revered as I did trace. Who would be fool that he like fool might fare, with feeble spirit mocking the enorme strength on his forehead. Thou, God's thought, thy form, didst live the large significance of thy face. 3 men have I seen, and seen with wonderment, noble in form, lift upward and divine, in whom I yet must search, as in a mine, after that soul of theirs, by which they went alive upon the earth. And I have bent regard on many a woman, who gave sign God willed her beautiful, when he drew the line that shaped each float and fold of beauty's tent. Her soul, alas, chambered in pygmy space, left the fair visage pitiful, inane, poor signal only of a coming face, when from the penetrail she filled the fane. Possessed of thee was every form of thine, thy very hair replete with the divine, for if thou hadst built a temple, how my eye had hungering fed thereon, from low-browed crypt up to the soaring pinnacles that, tipped with stars, gave signal when the sun drew nigh. Dark caverns in and under, vivid sky its home and aim. Say, from the glory slipped, and down into the shadows dropped and dipped, or reared from darkness up so wholly high? Thou build'st the temple of thy Holy Ghost, from hid foundation to high hidden fate. Foot in the grave, head at the heavenly gate, from grave and sky filled with a fighting host. Men is thy temple, man thy work elect, his glooms and glory thine, great architect. Thee if thou hadst been a painter, what fresh looks, what outbursts of pent glories, what new grace had shone upon us from the great world's face. How had we read, as in eternal books, the love of God in lowliest sheest nooks. A lily, in merest lines thy hand did trace, had plainly been God's child of lower race. And oh how strong the hills, songful the brooks, to thee all nature's meanings lie light bare, because thy heart is nature's inner side, clear as, to us, earth on the dawn's gold tide. Her notion vast up in thy soul did rise, thine is the world, thine all its splendours rare, thou man ideal, with the unsleeping eyes. Thy but I have seen pictures the work of man, in which at first appeared but chaos wild. So high the art transcended, they beguiled the eyes formless, and without a plan. Not soon, the spirit, brooding o'er, began to see a purpose rise, like mountain aisled, when God said, let the dry appear. And, piled above the waves, it rose in twilight one. So might thy pictures then have been too strange for us to pierce beyond their outmost look, a vapor and a darkness, a sealed book, an atmosphere too high for wings to range, and so we could but, gazing, pale and change, and tremble as at a void thought cannot brook. 7 But earth is now thy living picture, where thou shadowest truth, the simple and profound, by the same form in vital union bound, where one can see but the first step of thy stair, another sees it vanish far in air. When thy King David viewed the starry round, from heart and fingers broke the psaltery sound. Lord, what is man, that thou shouldst mind his prayer? But when the child beholds the heavens on high, he babbles childish noises not less dear than what the king sang, praying to the ear of him who made the child and king and sky. Earth is thy picture, painter great, whose eye sees with the child, sees with the kingly seer. 8 If thou hadst built some mighty instrument, and set thee down to utter ordered sound, whose faithful billows, from thy hands unbound, breaking in light, against our spirits went, and caught, and bore above this earthly tent, the far strayed back to their prime natal ground, where all roots fast in harmony are found, and God sits thinking out a pure consent. Nay, that thou couldst not, that was not for thee our broken music thou must first restore, a harder task than think thine own out free, and till thou hast done it, no divinest score, though rendered by thine own angelic choir, can lift one human spirit from the mire. 9 If thou hadst been a poet. On my heart the thought flashed sudden, burning through the weft of life, and with too much I sank bereft, up to my eyes the tears, with sudden start, thronged blinding. Then the veil would rend and part, the husk of vision would in twain be cleft, thy hidden soul in naked beauty left. I should behold thee, nature, as thou art, O poet Jesus. At thy holy feet he should have lean, sainted with listening, my pulses answering ever, in rhythmic beat, the stroke of each triumphant melody's wing, creating, as it moved, my being sweet, my soul thy harp, thy word the quivering string. Thee we followed through the twilight land where thought grows form, and matter is refined back into thought of the eternal mind, till, seeing them one, lo, in the morn we stand. Then started fresh and followed, hand in hand, with sense divinely growing, till, combined, we heard the music of the planet's wind in harmony with billows on the strand. Till, one with earth and all God's utterance, we hardly knew whether the sun outspake, or a glad sunshine from our spirits break, whether we think, on winds and blossoms dance. Alas, O poet leader, for such good thou wast God's tragedy, writ in tears and blood. 11 Hadst thou been one of these, in many eyes, too near to be a glory for thy sheen, thou hadst been scorned, and to the best hadst been a setter forth of strange divinities, but to the few construct of harmonies, a sudden sun, uplighting the serene high heaven of love, and, through the cloudy screen that twixt our souls and truth all wretched lies, dawning at length, hadst been a love and fear, worshipped on high from Magian's mountain crest, and all night long symboled by lamp flames clear, thy sign, a star upon thy people's breast, where that strange arbitrary token lies which once did scare the sun in noontide skies. 12 But as thou camest forth to bring the poor, whose hearts are nearer faith and verity, spiritual childhood, thy philosophy so taught'st the ABC of heavenly law, because thou satst not lonely evermore, with mighty truths informing language high, but, walking in thy poem continually, didst utter deeds, of all true forms the core, poet and poem one indivisible fact, because thou didst thine own ideal act, and so, for parchment, on the human soul didst write thine aspirations, that thy goal thou didst arrive with curses for acclaim, and cry to God up through a cloud of shame. 13 For 33 years, a living seed, a lonely germ, dropped on our waste world's side, thy death and rising thou didst calmly bide, sore accompanied by many a clinging weed sprung from the fallow soil of evil and need, hither and thither tossed, by friends denied, pitied of goodness dull, and scorned of pride, until at length was done the awful deed, and thou didst lie outworn in stony bower 3 days asleep. O, slumber godlike brief for man of sorrows and acquaint with grief, life seed thou diedest, that death might lose his power, and thou, with rooted stem and shadowy leaf, rise, of humanity the crimson flower. 14 Where dim the ethereal eye, no art, though clear as golden star in morning's amber springs, can pierce the fogs of low imaginings. Painting and sculpture are a mockery mere, where dull to deafness is the hearing ear, vain is the poet. Naught but earthly things have credence. When the soaring skylark sings, how shall the stony statue strain to hear? Open the deaf ear, wake the sleeping eye, and lo, musicians, painters, poets all trooping instinctive, come without a call, as winds that where they list blow evermore, as waves from silent deserts roll to die in mighty voices on the peopled shore. 15 Our ears thou openedst, maddest our eyes to see all they who work in stone or colour fair, or build up temples of the quarried air, which we call music. Scholars are of thee henceforth in might of such, The earth shall be truth's temple theatre, where she shall wear all forms of revelation. All men bear tapers in acolyte humility. O Master Maker, thy exultant art goes forth in making makers. Pictures? No, but painters, who in love and truth shall show glad secrets from thy God's rejoicing heart. Sudden, green grass and waving corn upstart when through dead sands thy living waters go. 16 From the beginning good and fair are one, but men the beauty from the truth will part, and, though the truth is ever beauty's heart, after the beauty will, short-breathed, run, and the indwelling truth deny and shun. Therefore, in cottage, synagogue, and mart, thy thoughts came forth in common speech, not art, with voice and eye. In Jewish Babylon, thou taughtest not with pen or carved stone, nor in thy hand the trembling wires didst take. Thou of the truth not less than all wouldest make, for truth's sake even her forms thou didst disown ere, through the love of beauty, truth shall fail, the light behind shall burn the broidered veil. 17 Holy of Holies, my bare feet draw nigh Jesus, thy body is the shining veil by which I look on God, nor grow death pale. I know that in my verses poor may lie things low, for see, the thinker is not high, but were my song as loud as saints all hail, as pure as prophets' cry of warning wail, as holy as thy mother's ecstasy he sings a better, who, for love or ruth, into his heart a little child doth take, nor thoughts nor feelings, art nor wisdom seal the man who at thy table bread shall break. Thy praise was not that thou didst know, or feel, or show, or love, but that thou didst the truth. 18 Despised, rejected by the priest-led roar of the multitude. The imperial purple flung about the form the hissing scourge had stung, witnessing naked to the truth it bore. True Son of Father true, I thee adore. Even the mocking purple truthful hung on thy true shoulders, bleeding its folds among, for thou wast king, art king forevermore. I know the Father, he knows me the truth. Truth witness, therefore the one essential king, with thee I die, with thee live worshipping. O human God, O brother, eldest born, never but thee was there a man in sooth, never a true crown but thy crown of thorn.